Okay guys, so you have to excuse the camera angle. It is a strange one, but I can't be bothered to keep on swinging the camera around. So you're sat on the steering wheel. Today I'm going to be talking about my car history from the age of 16, 17 up to now. So I'm 20 and a half, almost 21, call it 20. I've put just about every car on this list on my channel, so I thought I'd kind of do a recap, because in the last couple of years especially, it's kind of gone a bit all over the place. So I don't even know where I'm at, so there's no way you guys do. So if you do enjoy, or you have enjoyed, leave a like and subscribe. Comment any suggestions or improvements for future cars or whatever. Car number one is my very first Mark 1 MX-5. Now this car was a strange one. It was a 1.6 Japanese import. I bought it off of my college at the time. I was doing a mechanics course and they had the MX-5 just sat. It was meant to be a track car, but they never got the funding for it, so it kind of just sat. I was told it had a faulty head gasket, so it was kind of like a whim. I looked online, engines were like a couple of 100 quid, 600 quid, whatever. So I was like, do you know what, I'll get the car, put in a new engine, because I'm told it needs one, sell it on. It wasn't really a plan. It was between me and another guy at college, and I didn't want him to have it, so I got my dad to put the deposit down. I was 16. I didn't have the money for it. So yeah, like, I didn't have the money for it. But the craziest part is, I paid £600 for this Japanese import, green with tan seats, absolutely stunning spec, stunning car. It needed some work. The clutch master cylinder needed to be done, but if you held down the clutch, even though the clutch was down, it would act as if the clutch was coming up, so you wouldn't be able to stay still. I think it needed the window switches as well, because it had electric windows, which are so stupid on Mark 1s. And yeah, as I said, it had the head gasket problem, we were told. So we turned it on, let it run. If the engine's fucked, it's fucked, yeah? Got up to temperature, we drove it around, no problem whatsoever. So I got a £600 Mark 1 MX-5 Jap import with an engine that was on, like, I think it was like 100,000 miles, 90,000 miles, or maybe it was 90,000 kilometers, so that's even less. If I still had that now, that would be worth like 4 grand, maybe even 5 grand. So it had no rust as well. This is what's crazy, because I did own another one and it was covered in rust. This one was mint and I didn't know it at the time. I was just excited to sell the car, make a profit, which we did. It's hard to not make a profit off of a £600 MX-5. Yeah, that car, that is one that got away, but I was so young, I didn't drive, so I didn't even have a connection with the car. So financially, it would have been nice to keep it, but realistically, it's just another car. Now the second car is technically my first car. That was the Mark II Clio. Essentially what I would say blew up. I'm not a huge channel, but it blew up my channel. It blew up my social media to the level that it is now. And I truly think if I didn't have the Clio, I wouldn't be where I am now, as daft as that sounds. It was black, 3 doors, sunroof, auto lights, auto wipers. As a car itself, perfect. Then I got the bug, and I started to change this, I started to change that, and I documented it all on the channel. I'm sure you've all seen the videos, did amazing. All of a sudden I was daily driving a lowered, straight piped Clio with custom seats, custom doors, custom steering wheel, everything. Like, looking back now, I was mental. Like, turning that on to go to work at 6 o'clock in the morning, I'm asking for trouble. I was young, I'm not saying I'm old now, it was only like a year or 2 ago, but I know for a fact I could not drive a car like that every day again. So it was nice to have, and it was definitely a big moment for me and the channel, but I'm not going to go back in a rush at all. And I then started to get bored, and I wanted another car, but I knew I did not want to sell the Clio. I did not want to let the Clio go. So I put the Clio onto my grandparents' driveway, and I found a Ford Puma, brand new from the Ford factory. Now, this was the time when cars were really hard to come by. They had limited stock. It's even worse now. I think I've only got one photo of it. It was like a Ford Puma ST line. It had no options on it, so it was just the standard ST line, but they do come quite well optioned. So things like cruise control, the limiter, flat bottom steering wheel, had all the driving modes, so like Eco Sport, normal, ice, everything. It was a really nice car, bit more up than the Fiestas are, which is obviously what I'm sat in now. And it was my biggest purchase ever, plus it was on finance. I put down £500 and I was set to buy the car or finance the car on Thursday. It got to the Tuesday and I got denied on finance. And this is actually quite a big thing for anyone who doesn't have one of these. Get a credit card. I only use my credit card for my fuel, but before that I had no credit score, so banks couldn't trust me, finance couldn't trust me. I was basically an unknown person. even if you're paying off your fuel every month, you can afford it to pay it off straight. If you just put it on the credit card, it grows a credit score. It makes you more reputable when it comes to finance and mortgage and loans and everything. So my advice to you, which is what I didn't do at the time, get a credit card, get some sort of like monthly cost going to show that you can pay off the car, because I truly think if I would have had a credit score, I would still have that Puma now. But I do think it was also a blessing in disguise, me not getting the Puma, because then I got a bit upset. The Clio was on my nan's driveway, so I thought, do you know what, let me have a look at Mark 1 MX-5s. I loved my first one, never got to drive it, so let me have a look. The second or third car I found, same spec as my original one. Jap import, green, tan seats. This one was one owner from 1997, I think it was imported. And yeah, I drove there on the same day. It was all done in like an hour, which I'm quite impulsive with cars. Drove there, sat in it. He took me for a test drive. He was an old man, as I said. He's had it since it come into the country. I fell in love, put the money down. He wasn't even like willing to negotiate on price, and I was like, do you know what, I'm here. There's a nostalgia part, because although it wasn't my exact car, it felt like it. Plus I can now drive this car, so I was like, yes, done. Went a couple of days after, picked it up. The insurance was like £4 grand. I was like, do you know what, I'll crack on. 10 days passed of me driving that car, best 10 days of my life, and I thought, I want another car. So I cancelled the insurance on the Mazda, which I think was a blessing, because it was costing me more than I actually thought it was going to cost me every month, and I didn't really think it through. And luckily, because it was still in the 2-week grace period, I was able to reinsure the Clio, brought the Clio back home, and then that's when I had the Mazda sat on the driveway, and the Clio as my everyday car again. So basically, we've done a full loop back to square one. That was September time. It then passes to February time. I sell both the Clio and the MX-5. They go, the MX-5 I'll make a profit. The Clio I was never going to make a profit. I've spent thousands on it, and you're never going to get that back. I then had my heart set on a Mark 1 Fabia VRS. Me and my mum took a 4-hour train journey up north to Crewe, near Birmingham, I think it was. We picked up the car. It looked immaculate, a bit of rust, but it is what it is. It was a silver car. I didn't want a silver car, but as we've learned, I'm quite impulsive. We did a 4-hour train journey. I wasn't planning to bring the train home, I was planning to bring the car home. Got home, and for the first couple of days it was spot on. Then the gearbox blew up, and then like the tracking, the suspension on the left side snapped. That car cost me a lot, and the ironic thing is, I would argue it's the best car I've ever had, because of the memories I made with the car. That was during like 2022 summertime. I've never had that much fun in a car with people like that. Maybe it's a nostalgia thing. Maybe I prefer the thought of it and not actually the car, so I'm going to try to avoid buying the car again. That car was a stage 1 car, so I went from a 1.2 Clio to a 1.9 stage 1 Fabia. It was a bit of a jump, but yeah, after all the problems, I thought, do you know what, I can't have this car anymore. So I sold it after 4 months, and I think for 2 of them it was being fixed. So I technically only had the car for 2 months. It didn't really do great on the channel. I loved it, and the following for it was a very cult following, but I don't know, I loved the car, but I don't think it was the specific one for me. I would like another one at some point, but I also want to try like 100 other cars, so I'm not going to go back to a car I already know, like I did with the MX-5, and then get bored. So I wanted something new. I wanted something with warranty. I thought, I cannot be paying these bills anymore. If something goes wrong, I want to give it to whoever I've got it off, and they can fix it. So I got this Mark 8 Fiesta ST line, heated seats, heated steering wheel, active cruise control. The funny thing is about this specific car, I didn't want this car. We went to Perry's, which is a local place. I was like, do you know what, I want this car, but I've never actually sat in it. Asked him for the keys. He had 2. This one was clean, the other one was being clean, so we couldn't go in the other one, so we went in this one. I sat in it. He goes, it's the 140 brakes, which is the top power. I then saw down there's the things for heated seats. I'm like, has it got heated seats? He's like, yeah, it does. Has it got active cruise control? Yeah, it does. Okay, done. This car's mine. I sat in this car on a complete whim, and I ended up going home. It was interesting. It was a big step, but I still don't look back. I've tried to, I constantly, for the last few months, I've been telling myself I want something new. And that comes to my next point, but we'll get onto that in a second. I can't imagine me getting a better everyday car right now for the price, for the spec, This car ticks every box, and I need to appreciate where I am and stop trying to get to the next place. Today is Saturday the 7th. I was meant to be picking up my new car, a Polo GTI. It was kind of very like on a whim. I liked them online, so I wanted to go buy one. It had no spec, it had like no auto lights, no cruise control, and it's a first world problem. But I was going to lose around, call it around £5,000. It's a big step down, both financially and car wise. Yes, the Polo is more powerful, but every day you don't appreciate the power. You appreciate the small things like the seats. The auto lights is such a big thing. Once you have it, it's daft to not have it. So as much as I was sold on that car, I kind of put my head back on my shoulders and thought, do you know what, this is wrong. I'm going to stick with the Fiesta. There have been 100 other offers, inquiries about millions of cars during all these cars, but the cars that I've mentioned today have been cars that I've actually had my own cash down. So the Puma that I never got, I had £500 down, and the Polo that I never got, I had £100 down. And then obviously all the other cars I have actually owned. So yeah, that was quite an interesting video, a bit of a wake-up call for me to say, like, slow down, just chill out. So hopefully you have enjoyed. If you have, leave a like and subscribe, comment any suggestions or improvements as I said, and yeah, hopefully I'll see you again. Cheers.